Hello, my name is Amy Prokopis. I am an author of young adult novels like the science fiction novel The Arena and the young adult urban fantasy Guardians of the Sixth Gate, which comes out the end of October, on October 31st, 2022. Welcome to my channel. So today we are filming kind of a fun video. You are going to see what the paperback version of Guardians of the Sixth Gate looks like, so stay tuned. That'll be at the end of this video, but also to begin with, I am going to answer all of your questions that you guys have kindly asked me on social media, mostly on my Instagram. That is where I get most of my interactions, so if you are not following, make sure you are following me there. I'm also super active on TikTok. You can find all of my social media handles in the description box below. So we are going to start with the Q&A. I have picked 10 questions that best sums up a lot of the questions that you have asked. I've been given a lot of the same questions multiple times, so I will make sure to answer those especially. First though, I need a refill of coffee and then we will get started. All right, so I got my coffee. Let's start with the questions. All right, so question 1, what is Guardians of the Sixth Gate about? All right, so Guardians of the Sixth Gate, I wrote with absolutely no outline. I pantsed it the very first time I wrote it, which was in like 2019. It was before the pandemic ever hit. I came back to it after the pandemic and did some heavy editing. So getting this book out, I did not have to do a lot of revision. I didn't do any rewrite. I just edited the book and then planned out the whole series. So Guardians of the Sixth Gate is about Victoria Johnson. She goes by Tori. She's the smart girl at school, straight-laced. She is set to be valedictorian, or at least she will, as long as Jamie Quinn, who is kind of like the mysterious guy at school no one pays attention to, as long as he doesn't sweep in and steal the title from her, she's set to graduate their senior year as valedictorian. Well, she decides she kind of wants senior year to be different. She's tired of being in the shadow of her popular best friend, Macy. And so Macy, who goes to all these parties all the time, convinces her to go to the one at the beginning of the year with her. So Tori goes with her to this party, which is up on the mountain in their city of Burbrook. And all of the rich kids in their big houses live on this mountain, and they go to this party. The party happens to be at Tori's crush's house. So she has this thought that she's going to try and impress him while she's there. And she gets a little bit too crazy and gets very intoxicated and needs a ride home. So she gets in the car with a couple boys, and they are on their way home, dropping off the other intoxicated friends along the way. And one of them decides it would be fun to take a different route, reaches over, pulls the wheel, and they go over the side of the mountain. By the way, they're in a convertible. So by the time she wakes up after this accident at the bottom of the mountain, she realizes I should have been completely squashed because everyone else was. And she survived. Not only has she survived, but she has no injuries at all, but she can tell that there was some kind of injury and somehow they've all healed. And after this point, she comes to realize that she is immortal and crazy things start to happen. She's part of this circle that's called the Guardians. They're the sixth circle, and they defend the gate to essentially the underworld. It's called the Shadowlands, and sometimes creatures, supernatural creatures, come out into our world, and it is their responsibility for putting them back. Only weird things start to happen around Tori, and a big bad guy, the ferryman, comes after her for her blood, and they have no idea why and what makes her so special. So book 1 is defending Tori, and not only that, but a romance starts to blossom, and she has to decide if she is going to pursue it or not at the expense of potentially somebody's life. So really cool stuff. I hope you guys enjoy it. It comes out October 31st. The next question is, how do you find the time to write? So if you've watched these videos before, you might know I am working full-time as a public school counselor. That's what I do during the daytime. I'm also a mom to a 2.5-year-old, a very large 2.5-year-old. He's tall for his age. And so I'm also married. So I have a relationship going on. I was part of that too. And writing is very hard to fit into the mix. So for me, I write every single Saturday and Sunday afternoon. I average anywhere from a little over 2,000 to 4,000 words a weekend. And during the evening times, I do a little bit of writing, but mostly the evening times are when I plan my writing session, do a lot of brainstorming, and I do like my social media and marketing work during the week, a lot of times in the evenings. So that is what a normal routine looks like for me. I'm playing with the idea of trying to incorporate more writing sessions into that routine and changing that up maybe in November. So we'll see, that may change. But for me, most of my writing happens on the weekends because I do work full time during the day. Next question, what do you want to write after Guardians of the Sixth Gate? So Guardians of the Sixth Gate is actually a series. So there are more than one book in the series. After I finish writing on this series, I do have a spin-off planned with a character that appears in book 2. So I plan on writing that spin-off. It takes place kind of with the same elements in the same world, just a different part of the world. And I think that book will be, maybe there will be 2 books in that series, maybe 3. We'll see. But that's what I plan to write after the whole series is wrapped up. I'm not sure what I'll come to. I have a couple ideas floating in my head, some other drafts that are partially written or completely written that I plan to come back to eventually. So maybe I will come back to one of those, but whatever I write after will definitely be fantasy in that genre. That is my bread and butter. That's what I prefer to write. So it'll definitely be fantasy when I'm completely finished with the Guardians world. This comment I got a lot. Please give us the title of book 2. So I do have the title reveal planned out for book 2 in the Guardians of the Sixth Gate series. That is coming super, super soon. I'm thinking beginning of November is when I will release that. I want it to come shortly after I launch book 1. So as soon as book 1 is released on October 31st and it's up for you guys to purchase, then the title of book 2 will also be coming. Fun things though, I do have a sneak peek at book 2 at the end of book 1. So if you buy it, you will get a sneak peek at the first chapter for the second book. So coming up super soon, be on the lookout. Make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, turn on the notifications. Also, make sure that you're following me on social media because that is likely where I will release that information first. Next question is, are you participating in NaNoWriMo? If you're not a writer and you're not familiar, NaNoWriMo stands for National Novel Writing Month. So the idea is that in November, everyone writes, if you participate in November, you write a whole book in the month of November. That is the whole idea behind NaNoWriMo. So I'm not sure if it's going to fit with my publishing timeline. So I am publishing book 1 at the end of October, so this month. This week, am finishing draft 1 of book 2. And I'm hoping maybe next week to outline or at least start outlining book 3. So I've got a lot of little projects that I'm like getting details for. So I'm not sure if it's going to line up. I would love for it all to line up because then that would mean that I could do draft 1 of book 3 in November. But I think I sort of need to do my first read through of book 2 before I start that draft. So I'm not sure if I'll be participating in NaNoWriMo or not. I've never participated in NaNoWriMo. I did Camp NaNoWriMo in July this year, and a lot of little things happened, and I didn't quite finish like I had anticipated, but we'll see. I do love a good challenge. I'm a competitive person, so maybe I will decide to participate, or maybe next week. I think next week I'll be able to see more what my timeline will look like. Maybe things will change next week, so we'll see. What was the hardest part to write in this book? The most difficult part of this book, since I wrote it quite a long time ago, it was about 2019, I really have just the editing that I remember to like go off of for this question. The hardest part for me was getting all of the characters and their plot lines and subplots, especially the subplots, to line up with their ages and their historical timeline. So since most all of the characters in Guardians of the Sixth Gate are immortal, they've been alive for a very long time, they all have their own individual long histories, so their backstory goes really far. It's not like a normal character where the furthest you'd have to go is like teenage years and childhood to get kind of an idea of who they are. I had to go back through history, literally like historical events. Who was alive for the Great Depression? And answer that question and think about how that would inform like the society at the time and the social norms that these characters would have had in place and maybe have taken with them throughout history. So I've had a lot to consider in character development. And I found when I was editing that I actually had to change two characters' ages and part of their backstories so that I could ensure that they fit together without it being really problematic. So those characters were Izzy. I had to change Izzy's age. Originally, Izzy was the same, I guess kind of the same age. She was a little bit younger than she actually is now. Her storyline in Guardians of the Sixth Gate was different. She was in the high school and now she's not. She's outside of high school. And I changed the age and some of the backstory of Mr. Puck. And Mr. Puck is the chemistry teacher. He's kind of not really like a focal point in the story, but his storyline grows a little bit as the book progresses. And I had to change part of his history so that his plot line would make sense with the rest of the story as it happens. There are things that needed to line up in Guardians of the Sixth Gate for book 2. So I had to change Izzy in order to make that fit. So long story short, that was the hardest part. Who is your favorite character in this series? This is a really hard question to answer because I love them all for very different reasons. I think that in Guardians of the Sixth Gate, the character that I admire the most and kind of wish I was more like, oh man, it's kind of a toss-up. So Isabel Quinn, I really love Izzy because she takes no crap from anybody and she does whatever she wants with no apologies. And I admire that. I am such a people pleaser. I wish I was more like her in that respect. I also, my high school self, wanted so badly to be Tori Johnson. We share a lot of traits. I was also on the volleyball team. I was very sporty. I loved to run and stuff and athletic, but I was not nearly as smart as Tori is. And in high school, a lot of my friends were. I was best friends with our valedictorian and I went to a big high school and I wanted so badly to like have straight A's and be that smart. So my high school self definitely would want to be Tori Johnson. But I think now in my stage of life, I kind of want to be Izzy Quinn. I think she might be my favorite one. She's definitely my favorite to write. Is this a series? So to make this brief, yes, this is a series. Guardians of the Sixth Gate is 3 books. I'm currently working on book 2 and planning for book 3. There is a spin-off series that I think will be at least 2 or 3 books long. You could read them completely separately though. So this is its own series of 3 books. So it's a trilogy. What has made you a better writer? What has made the biggest difference for me as a writer is really practice, getting out there and feedback, getting feedback. I think for me, a large part of that came with my education, like my formal education. I got a bachelor's degree in English, so I had a lot of formal training in writing. A lot of it was academic writing, but I did have an emphasis in my degree on creative writing. So I took a lot of those classes where I had to submit work, get feedback. A lot of the projects we did forced us to write in different styles from different perspectives. That was super helpful. Getting like a feel for that because it helped me develop my own style. It also made me think about the different ways that characters could be portrayed, or that you could highlight different aspects of characters without giving it away immediately, like letting your reader get sort of like be their own detective. I'd love to do more of a video on like the different writing things that I've learned along the way. That would be really fun. So maybe I'll have like a whole series because I could go on forever about this one question. So to answer it, I think it was my education. So I got a bachelor's in English with an emphasis in writing. I also have a minor in German. And I think like the cultural differences and the study of that kind of language down to like the very root, like etymology and stuff, was really helpful and insightful for my own growth of how to write in English. And I also have a master's degree in school counseling, which was a lot to do with psychology, sociology. I love sociology so much, which is just like society, the study of people, the way societies develop, cultural norms. I love that stuff. And that has been super, super important in developing my characters. So characters for me always come first in a story. And having that background in psychology makes my characters come to life in such an interesting way. So I would say my education has played a huge part in my growth as a writer. What are you reading and what are you working on right now? 1 minute, I'm gonna go grab a book. Okay, we're back. So right now I am reading this book, House of Lies and Shadow by Emily Blackwood. She is a fellow indie author. She's super active on TikTok, so go follow her. So far, I'm really liking it. If you like A Court of Thorn and Roses, that series, then you will love this book because it's pretty similar. It's all about fae, and I really enjoy it. So currently reading this series. And what I'm working on, I think I already said it in this video, I am working on draft 1 of book 2 in the Guardians of the Sixth Gate series. I should finish that by Sunday, next Sunday. So 1 week. I am planning to finish the whole of first draft. I like a lot of aspects of this draft. There are some things I'm thinking of adjusting. I'm actually planning to maybe add in some more scenes, so it might get a little longer. But so far, this is about the same length as Guardians of the Sixth Gate, pretty close to. I think the final cut will be longer though. And so yeah, I'm still in the writing phase of book 2, holy moly. Writing book 2. Hopefully next week I am moving into more of the editing phase as long as I really like the read through. So now let's get to the part that I know a lot of you probably clicked on this video for, and that is the reveal of the paperback version of Guardians of the Sixth Gate. It's right there in that box, right there. I queued up a little different of an angle for this. So, oh my gosh, in this is the paperback copy of Guardians of the Sixth Gate. I'm super excited to share it with you. I ordered 2 proof copies. I meant to order 1. There was kind of a conundrum, but I got 2. So I may be giving one of them away. So we'll see. I already opened the top. Let me pull them out. Here they are. Here's the front of Guardians of the Sixth Gate. Let's put one down. Here it is. Here's the spine. Hi, Finn. Here is what Guardians of the Sixth Gate looks like, the paperback version. I'm super excited. Here's the spine. It's got my name on it, my logo. Here is the back of the book. You can notice there's some circles on it. We wanted to mimic the whole idea of being a circle. So in Guardians of the Sixth Gate, a group of guardians is called a circle, and there are very specific guardians to each circle. So it's kind of like fate. They all have to find their way to each other. And once they're all together and they all have their matches, which is like a soulmate, they can seal their gate for good and move on with their lives. So that's the whole idea. That is what this means. Guardians of the Sixth Gate, complete the circle, find your match. Those are some of the instructions. So when you first turn into a guardian, you get a tattoo on your forearm, and it translates into these instructions. So the tattoo is the instruction for how to go about being a guardian in your purpose. So that's the back. I am super excited. Here's the font on like the interior. I am so excited to be sharing the first look with you. Here's the way chapter 1 looks. So you can pause the video if you want to read it, but also you can read all of chapter 1 for free on my website, amyprokopis.com. So if you cannot wait for October 31st for this book to be out, you can go ahead and start reading it there. So there's my book. So that's it. Thank you guys so much for all of the support you have shown me. Make sure that you are subscribed to this YouTube channel to get more updates about books and all of my writing. And make sure you follow me on my social media where I do fun bookish things and interact with other readers and writers. But that is pretty much it. Thank you guys for sending in your questions. If there's anything else you want to know, feel free, leave it in the comment section and I can answer them there. But that's pretty much it. So the book, I cannot believe it, will be out October 31st. That will be here before we know it. Oh my gosh. So it'll be available on Kindle Unlimited. So ebook copies through Amazon, but you can buy the paperback version wherever you prefer to buy books. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you guys in the next one.